Hi, grade 8s. I'm back, ready to give you assignment number 7. And there's actually nothing new to teach you in assignment number 7. We're going to do a review of probability. So the way this is going to work is we're going to do a little bit of review, and then this assignment number 7, this will be due on Friday. So that's on the 8th. And then sometime this week I'll post assignment 8, which will be a quiz on probability, and that'll be due next Monday, which I believe is the 11th. And then we'll be done with probability. Okay, I know I probably said all those dates too fast and everything. I'll go through it again at the end of this video. But this is our last week of probability, so enjoy it. I do want to go over something that we have done before, tree diagrams. All right, on the first quiz, we definitely had lots of issues with tree diagrams. Maybe I psyched you out by telling you how hard everyone always finds them. Or maybe you're just like everybody else and you found them difficult. So I'd like to go over it again, and I also want to talk to you about the difference between sample space and finding a probability. So in this question, we're going to start by just finding the sample space. And it asks us to make a tree diagram. So this is right out of your workbook. It's on page 245, number 2. You can write it in there if you want. You certainly don't have to. And what we're going to do is we're going to toss a penny. Gosh, talk about dated. Do you guys even know what pennies are? Also, sorry, this is an American penny. I'm sorry. And we're going to spin this spinner, and we're going to figure out the sample space. Now, the sample space means all the possible outcomes, right? Everything that could happen when we toss this coin and spin this spinner. So here is the mistake that everyone always makes. I told you everyone always makes them, and many of you made this mistake as well. You do this. You say, well, there's two things here. There's a penny and a spinner. So I'm going to go penny, and I'm going to go spinner. And then I don't know what happens after that. Maybe you go like heads, tails, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, or something like that. But that's wrong. You don't do that. You made your mistake right here when you decided to look at two different events at once. You can only look at one thing. There's two events here. One's flipping the coin and one's spinning the spinner. You got to look at one at a time. It doesn't matter which one you look at first, but either consider the penny first, which I'm going to do because I don't know, it's on the left here, and then I'll do the spinner second. Okay? So if I start my tree diagram right here, the first thing I want to do is just think of the penny. What are the possible outcomes when you flip any coin? Well, there's only two possible outcomes, right? You could either get heads or you could get tails. That's it. We're done with the penny now. Now we're going to think of the spinner. So when we spin the spinner, how many different outcomes are there? Well, there's obviously 4. You can get a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. So if I get heads when I flip the coin, how many outcomes are possible in the spinner? Well, these are independent events. The coin certainly doesn't impact the spinner, so all 4 outcomes are possible. So how am I going to do this? I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. So these are the 4 outcomes possible if I flip heads. I could get heads and then get a 1 on the spinner, heads and then a 2 on the spinner, heads and then a 3 on the spinner, or heads and then a 4 on the spinner. Oh, but wait a minute. What if I got tails? What could happen when I spin the spinner? Well, the same thing. I could get one of those 4 numbers. So again, I want to put 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're done. Maybe I'm just going to move this spinner over a little bit. There you go. The penny, heads and tails. We did that first. The spinner, we did that second. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just very quickly, I'm going to show you that you could also do this the other way. I could have thought of spinner first and then the penny. Okay, I'm going to do this super fast, I promise. So the tree diagram for that one, how would it start? Well, if I do the spinner first, how many possible outcomes are there? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to space them out on the first one. Good. Then when I do the penny, well, if I spun a 1 on the spinner, what could I get on the penny? I could either get heads or tails. If I got a 2 on the spinner, what could I get in the penny? Either heads or tails. If I got a 3, either heads or tails. If I got a 4, either heads or tails. Okay, so a few things we can now tell. You could tell me how many outcomes there are. Where you look for the number of outcomes, the number of possible outcomes, is you look on the right hand side here and you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or if you were using this tree diagram, you'd count right here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we know there's 8 total outcomes. I'm just going to write that here. 8 total outcomes. I'm not going to write it over here as well, but same thing. Now, if they want to know, so we've shown the sample space. If it just asks us to show the sample space, we've done it, right? If you understand tree diagrams, we've shown the sample space. There's 8 total outcomes. One is heads and a 1, one's heads and a 2, one's heads and a 3, one's heads and a 4, one's tails and a 1, one's tails and a 2, one's tails and a 3, and one's tails and a 4. That's it. That's the sample space. It doesn't ask for anything else. It actually doesn't ask you anything about probability. But let's say I asked you now a question about probability. Let's say I asked you, what's the probability of getting tails and then an even number? Okay, I want to know what the probability of getting tails and then an even number. Well, remember, we need two things. We need favorable outcomes, we need total outcomes. How many total outcomes are there? We already said that. There's 8 total outcomes. So, of those 8 total outcomes, how many of them are tails and then even? Well, it couldn't be any of them up here because that's heads. So we can start by just looking down here where it's tails. Which ones are even? Well, tails and 2 is even, and tails and 4 are even. That's it. Tails 1, that's odd. Tails 3, that's odd. All these ones up here, even the 2 and the 4, don't worry about those because it's heads. We want tails. So there was only 2 of the pathways that gave us tails and even. So our probability is 2 over 8. Of course, you would put that in lowest terms and put 1 over 4. Okay, so that is tree diagrams again. I'm going to give you another couple questions for those. I'd really like you to try to get those. If you're still having troubles, let me know. I can go over it with you, okay? We can do a video chat or something. I'm not going to do I'm not going to do anything else with probability in this video because you're doing well in the other stuff. I'm really happy with how it's going. So I'll just go straight to your assignment. Here it is. First of all, I love this, this meme here. It's so true, right? Giving you a break, not much homework tonight, just these 3 questions, 1, 3, and 22, and then you find out it's 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. I love it. I'm comfortable giving you this joke today because, believe it or not, for the homework assignment I've given you, there's no A's and no B's and no C's. It's literally 3 and then 4 and then, well, 1 to 13 is a fair bet, isn't it? So these first 2 questions here, these are tree diagrams. So you're going to do 2 tree diagrams. Start on page 245. I think it goes to 246 is the other one. This is the starting page, right? I always just write the starting page. And then the other part is a review of probability, and that starts on page 251, and it goes from number 1 to 13. Now, I just remembered something. It does not have any dependent probability. So what I will do is on the next video, when I give you the quiz, I'll go through a couple dependent probability questions. Those are the ones where you like pick a marble and don't replace it, right? Your last homework assignment was on that. I'll just review that a little bit for you in the next video before you do the quiz. All right, so just to be super clear here, you have an assignment due tomorrow. That's Monday, May 4th, and that's on dependent probability. Look it up. That is number 6. And then today's assignment is due Friday, May 8th, and that is on review. Oh, my writing. Oh my gosh. And then, so that's actually assignment number 7. And then for next Monday, May 11th, you'll have the quiz on probability. That'll be assignment number 8. And then we'll be done probability. And after that, what we're going to do is we're going to start surface area and volume and area and all that stuff. I know you already know that stuff. You will love it. Okay, so that's it. Any troubles, you let me know. I'm here for you. Take care, grade 8s. Thinking of you and missing you, and all the best to you and your families.